Hello, tiny friends. Welcome back to TinyKeyHoleMinis. I'm Jolene, and today I'm going to be creating some vintage aprons, some smock style and kitchen canning aprons, as they were called back in their day. I created this one for Miss Margot, and I was just kind of winging it and trying to figure it out as I was going along. Now, I used a real vintage apron for this, and I love the print on it. But I'm not fully 100% happy with this one, so I'm going to tweak it and make some adjustments to it later on. I found a better solution for closing it in the back, and I feel like the trimming is a little too bulky, but I do kind of like it for her. I'll revisit it later on. Today I'm going to show you a more simple, less complicated apron with two pieces. I created this one, and I'm going to show you how I did this. This looks super cute on Miss Margot, but it's a little kind of young for her age. She actually created this one for her daughter-in-law, so she's going to put her to work by gifting her this apron. I haven't closed it yet because I'm waiting for the doll. Once I create the doll, I can fit it to her and then add the clasp. And I'm not really sure if I want to crisscross the back straps or just leave them straight back. So I'm going to come back to that later on, but look how cute this is. Absolutely adorable. So this is the apron we're going to make today. I'm going to add a few different details to the brown one just to show you some different options that you may want to go with. But these little aprons are so stinking cute, and your doll can really wear them. If you're wondering where Miss Margot's feet are, for those of you that don't know, she has removable feet because she likes to soak them in her bin. So I'll put those on later on. Okay, so I cut out a piece that's about 4 by 11 to 12 inches. And I'm just giving myself enough. This is plenty and more than enough. You could probably make 2 aprons from this, but I'm just making sure that I have enough to work with. Since I already figured out this one, I'm going to use this one as my guide, kind of like my template, because I don't have an official template for this. It really isn't needed because it's pretty simple to make without one. I'm going to start with a bib, and I cut a piece off that's about 2.5 by 4 inches. And then I'm just going to fold it the long way. I'm going down about 2.5 inches and snipping it on the folded side, maybe about 1/4 inch. You can always adjust it or tweak it after you cut this space out. I'm still cutting on the folded side, and I'm just cutting a line all the way down to where I snipped it. And then I'll open it up, and it's still a little wide. So I'm going to make some adjustments and just trim the outer edges. You don't want your bib to be too wide, but you can make some adjustments and trim away as you're going along. The next part is optional. If you're adding trimming, you really don't need to put any seams or make some hems along the sides, but I'm going to go ahead and do that just so I can show you if you choose to. It's totally up to you. I'm using liquid stitch for this, but regular tacky glue will work perfectly fine. And I am not making my seams very big at all. They're probably like 1/8 inch. So I'm just folding over the very edge. I'm going to use this ribbon for some trimming, and it's a little wide, so I'm just going to cut it down the middle right along the whole piece. That'll give me 2 pieces. They'll be smaller and more accurate. I'm just lining them up right along the edge, and I'll glue them down there, and then I'll do the inside as well. I'm just using a little bit of glue to seal the edges. If you don't put a hem, or if you're using a ribbon that frays easily, you might want to do this to keep your fabric and ribbon from fraying. Okay, for the skirt, I'm starting with a 4 by 4 square, and I will be trimming it down, but I'm also going to use the piece that I trim off. So you'll need that piece. Don't put it in your scrap pile. And I'm just measuring it up to Miss Margot just to make sure that this is good. Before I trim it down, I'm going to create the bottom hem, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did for the bib. Again, this is optional. If you're not using a trimming, you definitely want to create some seams, make little hems for your pieces. I'm trimming the corners, just kind of mitering them so it's not so bulky when I do the sides. Now I've trimmed off about 1 inch and we're going to need that. So now this measures 3 inches by 4 inches and I'm going in to create the side hems. I'm not going to be putting any trimming on the sides, so I definitely want to make sure they have nice seams. And I'm just using my first one as a guide. Now you can put pleats or not, and you can make them any way you want them. But if you're going to put multiple pleats, make sure you have extra fabric. So you probably want about another 1/2 inch, depending on how many pleats you want to put in. It's totally up to you. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom of the bib. And then just place the skirt right on there. And each side has about 1/2 inch hanging over. I'm going to set this aside a little bit to dry while Miss Margot helps me make some decisions on the polka dotted one. Okay, I think I figured that out. Coming back to this one, I've added the bottom trim, and now I'm going to take that piece that I trimmed off earlier, that's about 1 inch wide, and just create a midsection for this. So I am folding both edges inwards towards the middle and just making it down to about 1/4 inch or so. This will be the midsection that goes right here. I'm going to add a little bit of the glue. And then put this into place. Now it will hang over about 1/2 inch on each side, and you're going to want that for your fastening, whether you want to add ties or buckles, however you decide. For this one, I'm going to add little shoulder ruffles. So I'm just cutting kind of like a long oval. I'm totally eyeballing this. I really don't have any measurements for this, but I'm going to cut this oval right in half. And then I am just trying to figure out where exactly I'm going to put it. I'm going to use these little loops for my guides. So I've counted up to the 4th loop. So from the 4th to the 10th loop, that's where I want to set this. Now I am going to make some little snips around the curved side just to put a little seam in here. I'm not really good at doing this, so it's going to look a little wonky. But that's okay because it's just going to add to the ruffle. It's really not going to be all that noticeable. Okay, so I have my 2 pieces. And I am going to add a little bit of ruffling to them. Not a lot, but I'm laying down my glue in between the 4th and the 10th loop. And then I'm just going to lay this down. And as I lay this piece down, I'm kind of just ruffling it a little bit. I don't want to overdo it, but I do want some sort of ruffling in it. I'm not trying to really make ruffles. I'm trying to go for that half sleeve type of thing, but this is how it's working out. And right now I'm just fitting it to see if it looks good. It looks a little long, so I'm going to trim it down. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to need to trim it down just a little bit. So I'm just going to peel it off before it's completely cured and trim the straight edge. This way I don't have to fuss with the curved edge, and that can remain the same. And then it'll just bring it in a little bit closer. Okay, so now I feel like it's a little too short. I kind of like the other one better. So I guess somewhere in between would be good. But it's okay. I'm going to keep rolling with it. I'm not going to turn back. I'm not going to remake them. Once you get your basic apron, you can go ahead and customize it any way you would like. So if you want to add pockets, if you want to add ruffling, if you want to add multiple pockets or any type of pockets you would like. For this one, I am going to crisscross the back, and I'm just going to glue the two pieces together, allowing the opening big enough to pull over Miss Margot's head. Now she will be able to use her apron anytime she needs it, and she can put it on and take it off whenever she would like. Okay, so I'm going to pull the skirt really tight around her waist. So I'm adjusting the straps to make sure that the bib in the front is hanging where I want it to. And I'm going to pull the skirt nice and tight to shape around her. This will give me an idea of where I need to close it. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and fold the ends of the back straps just so that they're a little bit cleaner. I'm going to glue those closed and let those sit for a minute while I work on the polka dotted apron, and I'll come back to finish this one off. For this one, I decided not to crisscross the straps. I'm just going to glue them straight back. So I'm adding a little bit of the liquid stitch, and I'm putting them in a little bit, leaving about 1/4 of an inch hanging over. So you can see there's a little bit of space there, and that will allow me to be able to add a fasten or ties later on. Once I put it on the doll, I can shape it to the doll and close it. So you can add ties and tie it in a bow, or you can add little snaps or Velcro, whatever you want. I'm going to add these little buttons just for added detail to make it look like the straps are buttoned onto the back. And I've got these little red polymer clay buttons. And now I'm going back to Miss Margot's apron, and I'm going to use a magnet to fasten this. So the one side will have a magnet on it, and then the other side I'm using a tiny little metal bead cap. And I'm actually just going to glue it right here. And I'm putting the open part of the cap facing the magnet so that the magnet will kind of sit inside and sink inside the cap so that it doesn't stand out too far and it's not very bulky. It looks like a little bowl, and then the magnet just sits right inside there. So I'm just cleaning off the excess glue so it doesn't interfere with the magnet. And now I can just snap it closed. And this works out really well. It's almost like a snap. It holds very tightly. It holds really nice. I don't have to glue the straps down. I can just fold them back and then wrap the waist around it, and it just holds really nice. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a double pocket for the front, kind of like I did with the green smock. So I'm just creating a hem on the bottom and the two sides. And this piece measures about 1.5 inches by maybe 3 inches. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not going to hem the top part. I'm going to actually add a little piece of trimming along the top. So I'm using the same ribbon, and I cut that piece down to size. And I'm just going to place that right along the top. Okay, now I'm just folding the piece in half. And then I'm placing some glue along the front side, very little bit. You don't want to make it too thick because then it'll close up and have this big thick seam, and it'll shorten your pockets. So you just want a tiny, tiny little bit. This is going to make a seam and create 2 pockets. And then just add some glue right along that middle seam. If you have it too wide, just trim it down some, but you don't want to trim it too far because it helps create the pocket itself. I added a little bit of glue on the bottom, and now I'm just putting it all into place. Once I get the bottom sealed down, I'll go ahead and add glue to the sides and press those into place. And that's pretty much it for this one. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the green one and the template that I used in case you want to make one like that. Okay, so this is the template that I used on the green one. The green one is 3 pieces and it kind of has like a vest top. So this template looks similar to this. And then you just cut 2 pieces out from this. Now you can find this template online under Vintage Aprons, but I basically just eyeballed it. And that's when I realized that this was the same template that I saw when I was searching for vintage aprons. So here are your 3 pieces for this one. Your skirt will be made the same exact way. The only difference is the top part. The top part has 2 pieces that will crisscross over each other this way. You can glue them down in the front, and then you can bring them around to the back and either crisscross them in the back or leave them straight back, depending on how you want to do it. You'll want to put it around the doll and make some adjustments to make sure it's not too far up and it's sitting around the waist the way you want it to. These ones are a little bit wider than I want them to be, so I am definitely going to make some adjustments to this one because I really do love it, but I'm just not fully satisfied with it. So it just needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's basically just as simple. You're just going to use the template, and instead of 2 pieces, you're going to create 3. Depending on which way you want the straps to go in the back, whether you're crisscrossing or leaving them straight, you'll either glue them together like the brown one, or you'll glue them to the very back like the red one. And then you definitely want to make sure that you leave enough space open to pull over the doll's head so that you can take it on and off and the doll can wear it whenever you would like. And then you just wrap the skirt around the back and fasten it whichever way you're going to choose to fasten it. And then the skirt waist part will fasten tightly around the straps and hold those down. So there's no need to glue the straps down to the dress or the clothing. So it's basically just the same, only you have 2 pieces for the top. I am not an expert on making doll clothes. Matter of fact, I never made any doll clothes before until I made Miss Margot. So if I can do it, you can definitely do this. That completes today's project. My goal was to create some aprons that I can hang on a shelf, and I did not intend on making aprons that the doll can actually wear. Miss Margot is also wearing her feet. So you just never know how some things are going to end up to be, although I do have to make some aprons that I can hang on the shelf as intended. For this one, I'm thinking a nice tie would go really well, so I'm going to create some straps for this so that the doll can tie that. I think that'll look really nice with that one. I hope you've enjoyed this video today, tiny friends, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up and click that like button and let me know what you thought in the comments below. I hope you were inspired to create some of your own. As always, thank you all for subscribing and helping my channel to grow, and I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you all so much for all your support. If this is your first time visiting my channel and you like what you saw and would like to see more of my miniature makes, please subscribe and hit that top bell notification button to be notified every time I upload a new project. Until next time, tiny friends, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you all on the mini side. Bye-bye. Da 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 da